Quite shocking, the figures, aren't they? Were you surprised by this? Because you always assume, you know, if you call the police about anything, it is recorded somewhere. You'd think it has to be by law.
Yeah, and I think the reason why you want things recorded is because if you're going to make an insurance claim, for example, if there's any damage to your car, if you lost something, something's been stolen from your home, you have to have a crime number anyway. But I suppose what the police will say and what they have been saying, you know, on the radio and in other programmes today is that the paperwork and they're overburdened and this, that and the other, and that the chief inspectors say, oh, well, we've been using our discretion, and when something doesn't, you know, quite add up, we've decided not to write it down. But I think the police owe it to us to have a gold standard that when you ring the police or you tell the police something, you want them to write it down, you want it to be recorded, and then afterwards, if there isn't enough evidence to prosecute or take it any further, you want to be told. And I think what's shocking about these figures is that's an average that you read out, but in some forces 1 in 5 crimes aren't taken any further, but in some forces it's 1 in 3, and the worst places in this country, and if I lived in one of those areas, I'd be really worried.
Well, the one I was shocked about were the figures for rape and violent crimes, because you say, well, OK, you know, someone's nicked your wheelie bin or something, but we always hear police saying so much paperwork now. In a way, you understand that. You think, well, does that really need recording? But we're talking about some very serious crimes here.
But
so who's making these decisions?
Standard, Ruth. You can't have a double standard. You've got to have one way of dealing with all complaints to the police.
Yeah.
And what happened with this inquiry is the Home Office ordered 8,000, they listened to 8,000 calls to the police, and they found a wide range in the way that the inspectors dealt with the calls. And the inspectors say they decide what should be, they use their discretion. I don't want discretion. I just want one guaranteed standard.
But that's what I don't understand is that's what's worrying when you listen, is that how come the inspector makes a decision what should be recorded? Because that's like saying we would make a decision what's a crime. You know, if it's a crime being committed, why is it under the inspectors make the decision? I think that's what the people out there would say, but hang on a minute, are you telling me that an inspector makes a decision?
Well, they're
Why
saying
isn't it law?
The Home Office rules say a crime should be recorded where an apparent criminal activity comes to the attention of the police, i.e. you make a call or you walk into the station, and the alleged victim confirms that a crime has taken place. So that, to me, it very clearly says, you know, if I believe a crime has taken place and I report it, whether it did take place or, you know, if that goes on to prove it did or it didn't, it should be written down.
But then the inspector's saying that should it be? The inspector's then saying, well, watching your crime, then I'm going to make a decision whether that should be recorded.
Which is wrong.
I think it's a crime. I can't get a word in.
No, I agree with what you're all saying, but then on the flip side of it, I don't think they're always saying there's not enough manpower anyway. And if they're recording absolutely every crime that comes in, from the most ridiculous, obviously we want the serious ones reported, that's a lot of paperwork, that's a lot of time, that's a lot of manpower. You know, I would rather less paperwork and more Bobby on the street,
but then the
preventing
system,
the crime and sitting at home writing there's someone wheelie bins gone missing.
Yeah. But the Chief Inspector of Constabulary, that's Tom Windsor, who was part of this investigation, he says the first duty of the police is to protect the public and reduce crime. And that's how I look at it. I go, you know, I know it's hard, and you know, we talk to so many police officers who say the paperwork, but that's the system needs changing.
But I don't think, particularly with rape cases, if a man or a woman makes the allegation that they've been raped, even if they're drunk and inconsistent, their story must be noted down and registered as a crime. And then after it's been registered as a crime, then the police should investigate it. Even if their story is inconsistent because they're drunk. The fact of the matter is that should be noted, because if a crime took place, if they were raped or sexually assaulted and that crime's not written down, the person that did it could offend again and they've got away with it.
Yeah, that is.
But surely, though, even if Sorry, even if you decide not to press charges, you know, you hear cases like that.
domestic
Somebody's
cases.
phoned
Yeah.
at the police and then they've calmed down and they say, actually, I don't want to press charges. The police still should record that incident, whether, you know, that anybody's prosecuted or not, because if that happened again, you might find, well, that person's got form of sexual
Hopefully
assault
times have changed, though. I mean, because I remember many, many years ago when I was in a relationship and that person was being aggressive towards me and the police were called. And as it happens, not this marriage that I've just left, but many years ago, the police came and said, "Are you married?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Oh, well." And they left us.